Hello and welcome to Brand X Reviews. This is the first podcast that I've done for the website brandxreviews.com, which is a fairly new website set up at the end of October. I just figure it's easier in certain circumstances just reviewing films this way rather than setting up the camera and everything. But today anyway, we're going to be talking about the new film Escape Plan. I say we, it's just me for this one. We do have a collaborator that's going to be coming into the future podcasts, but that's not going to be the case here anyway. Now, the film Escape Plan is one of those highly anticipated films in that it's a film that has two actors in it that have been, for a long time, there has been demand for these two guys to get together in a film, and that is Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone. Now, I know they did appear in the Expendables together, but it wasn't what really the fans wanted to see. The first film, they were together on screen for about 2 minutes. The second film, Schwarzenegger was in it for a lot more, to be fair, maybe 15 minutes. But still, it was nowhere near equal screen time. It was a Stallone film with Schwarzenegger in it. It's pretty much a cameo. So Escape Plan definitely fills that void that fans have been wanting to see for quite some time, going back to the 80s, because that was their heyday. Films like Commando on the Schwarzenegger side, and of course the Rambo films for Stallone. It was just kind of a logical thing putting these two guys in a film together, and it was just something that never came about. And I do remember around about the time when their films kind of started to go out a little bit, when I think it was End of Days came out, which was a Schwarzenegger film that came out in '99. I liked the film, but it was pretty much coming to the end of Schwarzenegger's film career before he became governor, basically, in 2003. But I do remember him saying in an interview around about that time, he was asked by, I think it was Johnny Vaughan on British Channel 4 in an interview. He said something along the lines of, he was asked, would you do a film with Stallone? And he said something along the lines of, I would like to do a film with Stallone, but I would only do it if it was a big ensemble cast, like the Magnificent Seven, and it'd make lots and lots of money at the box office. So that was a film we waited, quite a long time to see. Well, I did. I remember him saying it, so obviously I'm kind of waiting for that film to come out. And I guess, to be fair, you can say that film was The Expendables. It was an ensemble cast, and we did get to see these guys on screen together, whether or not it was for brief moments in the film or for extended periods. But like I say, Escape Plan, that's the film I'm reviewing, and so I was kind of putting it into context, really. It is a good film, nevertheless. It's not just about seeing these guys on screen together. I would say it's a better film than The Expendables. Those two films were quite good, but they were very generic action films, which I know is kind of a good thing, 'cause generic action films don't really hit cinemas anymore. They're usually kind of straight to video, and they're not very good. But this is more of a, I don't know how I would really describe it. It is a generic, Prison Break type film. And if you've ever seen the TV series Prison Break, it's not a new concept, certainly not, and this really doesn't bring anything new to that genre. But it is very good. It's very entertaining, and there's a plot twist at the end, which it's maybe a little bit obvious. I didn't see it coming, but I don't know. I wasn't really kind of thinking about that aspect of the film. I'm not going to give away what the plot twist is, but just watch the film for yourself and you'll see. But in terms of screen time together, I would say it's a lot more equal than the Expendables films were for Schwarzenegger and Stallone. Those were Stallone films with Schwarzenegger as a cameo. This is more. It is still more a Stallone film, is this one, I would say, but it's about 60% Stallone, 40% Schwarzenegger. Don't get me wrong, Schwarzenegger does carry the film as well. I just mean in terms of screen time, it felt like about 60-40 to Stallone. Now Schwarzenegger does have kind of periods of the film where Stallone isn't in it for a while, or at least it felt that way, and he kind of does his thing. with his own storyline, and he's Arnie. He's the same character he has been in a lot of his films, just a little bit older. But he hasn't lost his thing really that he always had. Like I say, they're just older. It happens. But I think in years to come, 10, 20, 30 years, we'll look back on these films like we do today with films like The Hunter, which was a Steve McQueen film. Probably a bad example really, because he died fairly young in comparison. He was about 50 when he died, but he was quite old in that film in comparison to what he was in, say, The Great Escape. He was he was pretty much 50 when he did the film The Hunter. And we kind of look back on it as, this is a guy who aged gracefully in a lot of ways. I mean, he was ill. We'll kind of put that on one side, but I think we'll look back on these films in that way. It's like we don't expect these actors to come back and be on top form like they were in the 80s. We know they're older. I know that's one thing that a lot of people have criticised these films for. It's like, oh, they're old. It's it's rubbish. It's they want to just like give up. So well, no, I mean they haven't done really that many films in the last 15 years. Schwarzenegger particularly, because he was governor, and Stallone I kind of feel bad for him in a lot of ways, because he's done a lot of good writing and directing as well. He wrote a lot of films. I think the last one that he did was Rambo 4 for quite a long time. He didn't direct any more films, and not Rambo 4, sorry. The last film that he directed was Rocky 4 in 1985, and he left it for quite a long time before he directed again. Over 20 years, and he's a good film director. I believe that. He's a good writer as well. I mean, he wrote Rocky. He didn't direct it, the first film. He wrote it. He wrote the others, and Rocky won an Oscar for Best Picture. Like I said in my one of my other reviews, it's not a dumb film. So going back to the point I was making, I feel kind of bad for Stallone, because he did all this stuff and then he just kind of became an actor for hire. And he did a few films. I don't even know if they came out of the cinema over here. There was one called Detox. It came out in 2002. Well, that was the British title of the film. And like I say, he did a few others. I think he did one called Spade, which was like a sort of gambling film. It's kind of like an American attempt at making a Guy Ritchie film like Snatch. But Stallone was in that. I think he was in one of the, was it Spy Kids or something like that. So he wasn't having a good time of it. And then it wasn't until 2006, 2007. Yeah, 2007 I think it came out over here. When he did Rocky Balboa. That's Rocky 6 basically. And it did very well. It acquitted itself. Acquitted him as a director. And that was his return basically. If that film hadn't done as well as it did, it wouldn't have got the green light to do films like Rambo 4, which he also directed, and the Expendables 1 and 2. He directed Expendables 1. So it's good to see these guys back. That's the point. That these films have had criticisms for them being old. It's like, well, it's what happens to actors, and like I say, I think in years to come we'll look back and we'll look back with respect, like we do with we'll look back at John Wayne films. I mean, I'm not a John Wayne fan, but I know my father is, so I'm aware of all the films he did. And I mean, he worked for a long time up till he was quite old. And when you see his films where he's old, it doesn't matter. He's still John Wayne. But anyway. Going back on the film Escape Plan, supporting cast, there were a few actors in this that you would recognise, like Sam Neill, who's the main guy from Jurassic Park, you may remember. It's kind of weird having him in this film because his part wasn't really all that big, but he was in it nevertheless. There was 50 Cent was in the film as well. I'm not a big fan of 50 Cent as a rapper or an actor. Don't really think he's that charismatic. I mean, I'm not saying that Schwarzenegger and Stallone are like brilliant Shakespearean actors, but at least they can carry a film and they can sell you the part that they're playing. It might be dumbed down or whatever, you can say that, but you can't really compare someone like 50 Cent to guys like that. He's not a very not a very good actor. He's not very charismatic, so he doesn't really have anything to offer. But he doesn't have a big part in the film anyway. He's only like sort of a side character that's in it for like a few bits. He plays like a hacker, which again I don't really buy. But I don't know. Never met the guy. He could be very clever. I'm sure he is. But we'll save that for another review. Other actors that are in this. There's quite a few actors that I kind of recognise, but can't really say their names or any of the films they've been in. But it did have a kind of interesting. The guy that played Jesus in The Passion of the Christ was the bad guy in this. I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't have looked it up on IMDb. But yeah, he plays quite a good bad guy anyway. Other members of the cast. Vinnie Jones is in this film. Not an actor with a lot of range. Does tend to play the same characters. I've used the word generic quite a lot, but again, I would probably use it here. He plays a bad guy in this one. He's a prison warden. I don't have anything against him, don't get me wrong. But like I say, his part is pretty much what you would have expected. If you'd have told me Vinnie Jones was in this film, I would have just imagined the kind of part he was going to play, and I would have been right. But like I say, he kind of goes with the film quite well. It's that kind of a film, so you know what to expect. And seeing him in this film again, you know what to expect from him. So I'm not particularly bothered that he's in the film. Like I say, he's just one of those actors, I guess. Other than that, can't really say much else about it. I went to the cinema to see it. Obviously, it's not out on video yet or anything. I just say out on video. I know some people equate that with meaning tape, but DVD video, Blu-ray video, it's video. One of those films, I went to the cinema to see it because I'm a big Stallone and Schwarzenegger fan, but I mean, I would say it's not necessarily one that's awesome in a cinema. You're probably just as glad to see it on video. There've been quite a few films like that this year, like World War Z. I kind of got roped into going to see that. I would have been just as happy to see that on video. There's no real the advantage of seeing it in a cinema. I mean, there are other films that have come out this year, like Man of Steel or Pacific Rim, that were very good in the cinema. And so yeah, I mean, I would say if you're not too fussed about, if you're not in a big rush to see this, wait for video, basically. That's my review anyway. I will probably do more podcasts like this because, like I say, it's just easy for me to do reviews rather than setting the table and the camera up and everything like that and kind of sitting in front of the camera. I'm going to continue to do that, but I think it's just easy to do certain reviews in this way. Check out the website anyway, like I said at the beginning of this. It is brandxreviews.com. Brandx Reviews, all one word, obviously. It's a web address. It's a fairly new website, and we're going to be posting things on there quite frequently. It's still taking shape as a website, but it's quite good so far. There's a trailer section, and there's an archive where you can just go in and see the videos that we've done, and I'll probably update it with these podcasts as well. So check it out anyway, and let us know what you think in the comments on the website. Thank you very much.